Welcome to this deep dive from Cuebid. We're talking about something, well, really vital for your business today. Staying safe from cyber attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like this. We're going to explore how you can build a stronger defense online. So if, something bad does happen, it doesn't completely knock you out of the game.
Exactly.
Our goal today really is to show you that taking some smart steps now can save you a whole lot of trouble and, frankly, expense down the road.
That's right. And when we talk about cybersecurity, it often boils down to three key ideas: protect, detect, and respond.
Okay.
Protect is like having strong locks on your digital doors. Detect, well, that's your alarm system telling you if someone's trying to get in.
Makes sense.
And respond is what you actually do if that alarm goes off. How you handle the problem fast and, get back to normal. Strengthening all three. That's the focus.
Got it. Protect, detect, respond. So, okay, why is this such a pressing issue right now? What's making it so critical for businesses to really focus on this?
Well, unfortunately, cyber attacks are just becoming more common, way more common.
Yeah, you hear about it all the time.
And they're getting more sophisticated, too. It's like the attackers are constantly finding new tactics, new ways in.
Mm-hmm.
And the really concerning part, the damage these attacks cause, the cost, it's growing faster than what most businesses are actually spending to defend themselves. There's this effectiveness gap.
An effectiveness gap.
Mm.
Okay, we have numbers on this.
We do, and they're pretty sobering. For instance, just last September, we saw a record number of ransomware attacks reported in a single month. Over 500.
500 in 1 month. Wow.
Yeah, and the cost of these attacks has absolutely skyrocketed. In 2023, the average ransom payment more than doubled compared to 2022. It hit over $1 million on average.
$1 million?
Yeah.
Just for the ransom. That's staggering. What does that actually do to a business's ability to function?
It can be absolutely devastating. I mean, imagine your business suddenly can't access its computers, its critical data.
Yeah.
Nothing. Total chaos. A study actually found that 60% of businesses surveyed felt they'd become unprofitable after just 2 days of that kind of disruption.
2 days.
Just 2 days. But here's the kicker, the scary part. In 2023, the average downtime, the time it took businesses to recover from an attack, it was 16 days.
16. So businesses think they're sunk after 2 days, but the reality is often over 2 weeks.
Exactly. That's a massive disconnect. It shows just how unprepared many are for the actual recovery process.
16 days without operating properly. The ripple effects must be enormous. Lost revenue, customer trust, everything.
Everything.
So how have companies typically tried to prepare for this kind of, nightmare scenario in the past?
Historically, a common approach has been buying these things called incident response retainers.
Why retainers?
Yeah. Think of it like pre-hiring a cybersecurity emergency team. You pay a chunk of money up front, often quite a lot for a block of their hours, just in case you get hit.
Okay, that sounds logical on the surface, like insurance almost.
Yeah.
Are there downsides?
There definitely can be. For one, like you hinted, they can be really expensive. We're talking tens, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars just for the upfront fee.
Ouch. Why so high?
Well, a lot of it is because those firms need cybersecurity experts basically on standby 24/7, ready to jump in. Whether you use them or not, that readiness costs money.
Okay, that makes sense. Big overhead.
Big overhead. And it can be tough for smaller businesses especially. Also, there's often this use it or lose it aspect. You've paid for the hours, so there might be pressure to use them up before they expire, maybe on stuff that isn't a true emergency.
So maybe not the best use of resources sometimes.
Could be, but maybe the biggest drawback, I think, is that many traditional retainers don't really push for proactive planning. They're more reactive, waiting for the fire alarm and not helping you install smoke detectors, if you like that analogy.
Okay, so it's more about the response after the fact,
Yeah.
less about prevention or preparation.
Often, yes. Less focus on what should our plan be before we get hit.
So let's paint that picture then. A business doesn't have one of these retainers, and boom, they get hit by a cyber attack. What happens next? Walk us through that.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it's usually pretty chaotic. And slow. First, the attack happens, right? Panic sets in.
Right.
Then you're scrambling, trying to find a reputable cybersecurity firm that can actually help. Who do you call? who can you trust?
While the clock is ticking and the damage is spreading.
Exactly. You're contacting firms, comparing them, negotiating contracts, figuring out fees, all while your systems are down or compromised. It's high stress.
Sounds awful.
And only after you finally get someone under contract can they start deploying their tools to figure out what's going on. Then comes the investigation, fixing the damage, restoring systems. It's just a very slow, drawn-out process, a very slow clap, as the outline put it.
Yeah, a very slow clap indeed. Just sounds incredibly stressful and like a recipe for massive delays and costs. So there has to be a better way, right? More effective approach.
Yes, thankfully there is. And that's really where this IR Jumpstart approach comes into the picture. It's offered by Arctic Wolf and supported by Cuebid.
Jumpstart, okay.
Think of it as a smarter, more modern way to be ready. It gives you that rapid response capability when you desperately need it, but, and this is crucial, it also builds in proactive planning without those huge upfront retainer fees we talked about.
Okay, so fast response plus planning minus the massive initial cost. That sounds promising. What are the key advantages? Tell me more about this IR Jumpstart.
Sure. Well, the first big benefit is actual practical incident response planning.
Not just a contract sitting in a drawer.
Exactly.
Oh.
You work together online, guided by Arctic Wolf, to build out a detailed plan specific to your business. They help you identify your critical systems, your key data,
Right.
and they securely store all that vital info you'd need in a crisis. Things like emergency contacts, details about your network setup, your servers, a secure place for essential documents. It's kind of like a TurboTax for incident response planning, guiding you through it.
A TurboTax for IR planning. I like that. Makes it feel more accessible. What else does it offer?
A really fast response time. They have an industry-leading 1-hour service level agreement, an SLA.
1 hour. What does that mean exactly?
An SLA is basically their service guarantee. So Arctic Wolf commits to start investigating your incident within 1 hour of you initiating that emergency call for help.
That's quick. Much better than scrambling to find someone.
Much better. They also offer a complimentary scoping call up front to understand the situation. Then they provide an SLA that includes an estimated cost for the resolution. Plus, you get a discounted hourly rate for their expert services.
And insurance. Does it play nice with cyber insurance?
Oh, definitely. Big point here. Their IR team is approved by pretty much every major cyber insurance carrier panel. That's huge when you need to make a claim.
Okay, so it ticks a lot of boxes the old model didn't.
Right.
Now, where does Cuebid fit in? How do they enhance this IR Jumpstart service?
Right. Cuebid adds really significant value, especially with local expertise and hands-on support. They start you off with an inaugural workshop.
A workshop. What happens there?
They walk you through the whole IR Jumpstart service, make sure you understand it, and critically, they help you prepare and populate that online IR portal with Arctic Wolf.
Okay, getting you set up properly.
Exactly. And that includes helping you gather and organize things like pre-prepared agreements you might have with your hosting providers, your SaaS vendors, data processing agreements, getting all that documentation ready before a crisis hits.
Yeah, having those contracts handy would save so much time later. What else does Cuebid help with?
They assist in preparing other crucial documentation, things like your disaster recovery routines, the actual steps to get back up and running, and crucially, prioritizing which systems come back first.
Prioritization, right. That's key.
Absolutely. They help compile comprehensive contact lists with backups because key people might be unavailable. They can help create clear system and network maps, asset lists, knowing what you actually have. And they help you set up and secure those break the glass accounts.
Break the glass accounts, like emergency access?
Precisely. Emergency logins you hope you never need, but they're vital if your normal admin accounts get compromised in an attack.
Got it. Insurance, basically.
Kind of, yeah. And Cuebid doesn't stop there. They organize annual disaster recovery exercises, tabletop exercises with you and Arctic Wolf.
Practicing the plan?
Yeah, making sure everyone knows their role, that the plan actually works in practice, not just on paper. And finally, they give you access to their security scanning exports, which helps you proactively find and fix vulnerabilities before attackers can use them.
So it's a continuous cycle: plan, practice, improve. I like that. Now, I saw a term mentioned, elastic response framework. What's that about?
Ah, yes. That's Arctic Wolf's methodology for actually handling the incident response itself once an attack is confirmed.
Right.
They've designed it to be, well, elastic, scalable, and fast. It works by executing 3 core processes simultaneously, or in parallel, rather than sequentially.
Simultaneously, what are they?
They are secure, analyze, and restore.
Secure, analyze, restore. Okay, let's take those one by one.
Yeah.
Secure seems obvious enough.
It is. Fundamentally, the immediate priority is containment. Stop the bleeding, cut off the attacker's access, prevent the threat from spreading further.
Right.
Then monitor closely to make sure they don't get back in. And crucially, identify and fix the root cause, the vulnerability they exploited in the first place.
Makes sense. Shut the door, lock it, and figure out how they got in. What about analyze?
Analyze is the digital forensics part, the detective work.
Okay.
Their experts dig in to figure out exactly what the attackers did, what systems did they touch, what data did they access, or maybe delete or increasingly steal. They provide a detailed report of their findings so you have a clear picture of the impact.
So you know exactly what happened and what was compromised. Important for reporting and recovery.
Vitally important. And then there's restore.
Getting back to business.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is all about getting your operations back online as quickly and safely as possible, restoring systems, applications, data from backups. Interestingly, this phase might sometimes involve communication with the threat actors, particularly in ransomware cases.
Really? Like negotiating.
The primary goal is always to avoid paying ransoms, let's be clear. But if it's deemed the absolute best path to recovery after exploring all other options, their team is experienced in handling those negotiations to recover data and minimize the overall damage. It's a last resort, but sometimes necessary.
Wow. Okay, so that elastic response framework, secure, analyze, restore, happening together. How does that change the timeline compared to that slow clap scenario we discussed earlier?
It's night and day, really. With the IR Jumpstart, you've already done the prep work before any attack.
Right, the contracts, the plan.
Contracts done, IR plan built online, you've had resilience discussions with Cuebid. Now, if you're also an Arctic Wolf MDR customer, that's their managed detection and response service.
The 204/7 monitoring?
Exactly. Then they already have their agents deployed and full visibility into your environment before an attack. That's a huge head start.
And if you only have the IR Jumpstart?
Then the deployment of those necessary tools happens right after the incident is declared. But it's still much faster because the contract and plan are in place.
Okay.
So when an attack hits, that elastic response framework kicks in immediately. Secure, analyze, restore happening in parallel instead of that slow, step-by-step recovery.
Much faster, more coordinated.
Precisely. The goal is a swift, effective response. You emerge secured, recovered, and ideally stronger and more resilient than before. Think. Less slow clap, more like a Rudy clap, determined comeback.
The clap. I like it. A strong rebound. Okay, this sounds much, much better. Now, let's talk cyber insurance again. Where does it fit with all this? Is IR Jumpstart a replacement?
Not a replacement, no. Think of them as complementary. Cyber insurance is still really important.
Okay.
While IR Jumpstart is your primary tool for reducing the impact and duration of an attack, cyber insurance is there to help cover the residual financial costs, the ransom if paid, legal fees, notification costs, business interruption losses, that sort of thing.
Got it. One minimizes the damage, the other helps pay for it.
You got it. And it's worth stressing, insurance carriers are getting much stricter. They really look at your security controls now before offering coverage or setting premiums.
What kind of controls?
Things like managing your vulnerabilities properly, having protected networks, multi-factor authentication, ensuring you have a phishing-aware workforce through training, and critically, having a documented incident response plan, like the one you build with IR Jumpstart.
So having IR Jumpstart could actually make it easier, or maybe cheaper, to get cyber insurance.
Absolutely. It demonstrates you're taking preparedness seriously. Arctic Wolf even offers something called a security operations warranty.
A warranty?
Yeah, for customers using multiple Arctic Wolf solutions. It can provide up to $1 million in financial assistance for certain covered security events, like ransomware or business email compromise that's separate from, but complementary to, your insurance.
$1 million. That's significant.
It is. And anecdotally, we hear from Arctic Wolf customers that having their services, including the IR preparedness, has led to better insurance terms. Things like faster applications, broader coverage, higher limits, lower deductibles, even premium discounts sometimes.
Okay, that's a tangible benefit right there. Do you have any sort of general best practices for businesses when they're looking at or renewing cyber insurance?
Yeah, a few quick tips. First, definitely work with an insurance broker who specializes in cyber. It's a complex field.
Good advice.
Second, be ready to demonstrate a strong security posture. Document your controls. Expect them to ask for external vulnerability scans. Third, really foster that security culture internally. Employee awareness training is huge because people are often the entry point for attacks.
The human element.
Always. And finally, obviously, maintaining a clean claims history helps. And that's where having things like 24/7 monitoring in place, like Arctic Wolf's MDR, can potentially help you detect and stop threats before they become major claim-worthy incidents.
Right. Preventing the incident is the best outcome. This is all incredibly practical. Now, let's shift gears slightly. What if someone listening right now thinks, uh-oh, I might actually be under attack right now?
Huh?
What's the immediate step? Is there like a panic button?
There practically is. Cuebid has made it very direct. On their website, there's an emergency incident response button.
A literal button. Okay. What happens when you click it?
It takes you straight to Arctic Wolf's emergency IR intake form. You fill it out quickly with the details of what you're seeing.
Right.
As soon as you submit that, Arctic Wolf's dedicated IR team is alerted and will contact you directly very quickly to get the ball rolling and understand the situation.
Okay, Cuebid.
Cuebid gets notified too, and they're there to support you throughout the whole engagement, providing that local context and assistance.
Okay, so immediate access to the experts. That sounds like a real lifeline in a crisis moment.
Yeah.
So who is this IR Jumpstart service really for? Is it just for big companies with huge IT teams?
No, not at all. Honestly, it's designed for any organization, regardless of size, regardless of industry, that understands how critical it is to be able to act fast during an IT security incident.
So pretty much any modern business.
Pretty much, yeah. If your business relies on its digital systems, its data, and whose doesn't these days, then having a plan like IR Jumpstart is just, well, it's a really valuable way to protect yourself and seriously minimize that potential disruption and cost we talked about.
Okay. And final point on this. Why should a business choose to get this service through Cuebid specifically? What's the added advantage there?
Good question. Working with Cuebid means you get the best of both worlds, really. You get Arctic Wolf's world-class, globally recognized incident response capability, but you also get Cuebid's local presence, their deep technical expertise, and that hands-on partnership. They provide that initial setup support, the workshops, the documentation help we mentioned.
Right, the groundwork.
Exactly. And they stick with you after an incident, too, helping with ongoing security monitoring, SOC services, recovery process, and implementing lessons learned to make your cybersecurity even stronger going forward. They're your local partner who understands your specific business context.
That local partnership combined with global expertise sounds like a strong combination. This has been incredibly insightful, a really helpful deep dive. If we were to boil it all down, what's the single most important takeaway for listeners?
I think the core message is this. Being proactive, getting prepared with something like an IR Jumpstart, dramatically reduces the potential pain, the impact, the cost, the downtime of a cyber attack.
It's about preparation.
It really is.
Right.
By combining that rapid response capability with thorough planning beforehand, you're fundamentally strengthening your entire security posture, your ability to protect, detect, and crucially respond effectively when seconds count.
Absolutely. It's about taking control, isn't it, rather than just hoping nothing bad happens.
Precisely. Hope is not a strategy here.
So if you're listening and thinking about how to better shield your business from these ever-growing cyber threats, exploring a proactive approach like the IR Jumpstart with Cuebid seems like a very prudent and responsible step to take.
I'd strongly encourage you to reach out, talk to Cuebid, discuss your specific needs, your concerns, and learn more about how this IR Jumpstart service can help build that stronger security foundation. Make sure you're ready.
Great advice. And on that note, maybe here's a final question for everyone listening to think about. In the event of a cyber incident hitting your business, would you rather be caught completely flat-footed, scrambling in chaos? Or would you prefer to be equipped, planned, and ready to respond effectively?
Good question to ponder.
It's definitely something every business leader needs to consider seriously today. Thank you so much for sharing all this expertise with us.
My pleasure. Happy to help.
And thank you all for joining us for this deep dive.